all status, Bill Hubble. I bought Lennox Mall for my brothers. Sold your bag, told the cutter. I got it out the field, fuck Russell. Going ass L'Oreal about the paddock, and going ass Jordan, ass dead. Philippe water trying to drown a bitch. It's a habit tricking on a bitch. Shit, I'm thinking I'm cribbing a pimp. Shit, I'm cooking up dope like a dump. Shit, like her first gon' sit nigga trim. Shit, I'm floating, I'm out in the blimp. Shit, it look like I'm swimming in glass. Shit, I turn on my bitch cause she bad. Shit, I'm making my ex nigga mad. Shit, they go for that number for man. Real nigga learn up, wearing a bag. Piping a bitch and they nail like I can. Turn up the shooters with switches go bad. They with some scammers but no one's for pain. Slapping no rapping my dog, he fall off. No capping, no bound.
What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. I go by the name of BREE representing that self-made hustle TV where the hustle has to be in you, not on you. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, man. Please do that for me, man. Do that. Do that. Salute, Cole. Salute, Cole. I just seen your goddamn messages, man. I got to give you my number. Inbox you my number in a few minutes, man. I just caught that shit all late like a motherfucker. But salute, we gonna start it out with a little jam and definitely hit different, like Kobe said, man. We just gonna start it out, unforgettable.
Yeah. This is really one of my dumbest flows ever. I haven't slept in days, and me and my latest girl agreed to go our separate ways. So I'm single, thinking about what we had and missing you. But I ain't saying I got something for these bad bitches too. I mean paparazzi on me, trying not to get caught out. They always seem to catch me with the woman that I brought out. Baby, don't hold on too long, cause that's how them stories start out. And all the girls that play me eat your motherfucking heart out. Stressing, always gone but never hard to find. And since you can't escape me, do I ever cross your mind? Because all this shit is new to me. I'm learning to behave and still spending every dollar they encourage me to save. But I'm good. I know that niggas would kill for this lifestyle. I'm looking forward to the memories of right now. Never forgetting from where I came, and no matter where I'm headed, I promise to stay the same.
I'm just flying down the city with my hood on and my winter style. That's all I've been really keeping around. By the haters, and when they just talk about the
I just really hope that you think of me. I just really hope that you think of me. I just really hope that you think of me. I'm doing my face. I'm doing my face. I'm doing my face. This might just be my realest flow ever. When I say for life, y'all say forever. It's hard, but it's fair. I told that girl life hurts. The closer you gon' get to this Pop t-shirt. Them ain't young, baby, you know I live that thug life. The good die young, so I'ma need a thug wife. Yeah, I'm talking his and her firearms. You know I jury
crying loud in the car. Yeah, I remember I used to have to sneak the car. Now my inside's looking like a sneakers bar. Yeah, I'm talking Carmel leathers. Yeah, right, so fly me feathers. She ain't sitting them streets, so what's the deal? I've done everything in the A before chilling. So welcome to my life, no 2 days the same. Like for y'all to meet the love of my life. Her name's again. Trying to run the city with my hood on in my windows down. Ain't your girl the realest nigga, she been around. Something new and walk about the haters. And when you get to talking about the greatest, I just really hope that you think of me. I just really hope that you think of me. I just really hope that you think of me. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my thing. Got my top drop on this beautiful night. It's a beautiful night to live my beautiful life. Pain hurts like a cut from a.
One more jam, man. One more jam. This bitch allow me to play it, man. One more jam, man. Let me get my weed together so we can get into this Kanye versus Kdot, man.
Used to treat my shoebox like a ATM. Got pimp in my blood, a bitch ain't breaking slim. I was raised down in Texas out that bunny pimp. Underground kings trying to touch 100 M's. Bossed up, show my hood, you can make it out. Got focused on my grind, started taking out. Now all of a sudden, all the girls take it in their mouth. And when I bust, they try to tell me, please don't take it out. But that's just the power of bread. Shout out to Dre and the Feds. My nigga Shot-Town home, back on feet like we said. Boss life the brand, we out here building them blocks. And I like to thank the man, cause man, we still on top. Might slap me out with your bob. Chevy missing the top. Can't pick what to pull out. My mama like, baby, stop. But she know her baby not. I'ma stay on the gas. And long as money get made, I'm somewhat getting paid.
Hey.
Good drink. Good.
Big nuts.
Big nut. Good drug.
I put a phone on the rocks. Drop top. No hop pops.
12 try to put me over. Pink slips to the cop. She said that my nigga go this face. Put that dick in a real cage. Webs out with the Kente. Diamonds
Yeah,
like
hold on.
Take your babies, no Harambe. Play with keys like Dodre. 3K like 100. Yeah, girl, call her come.
I'm on there walking it red, just like a pigeon. I'm watching the bread. 4 for 4 now, I'm taking my meds. Beside my sheet when I'm making the bed. She on the beard, I'm taking the head. Run up a check till I'm breaking my legs. Ain't about no money, then fuck what you said. He like I'm in the county busting the spread. I do not talk to police. Nope, I do not fuck with the feds.
Oh,
Secure the bad lot, top flight. You know that Dady and Craig. Throw through that paper like teachers. Every day Friday, nigga. We getting paid on the regular. Usher, I did it my way, nigga. I need a lemon in my driveway, nigga. Wrote this and that's what a highway, nigga. GPS the money quick. Pick up a check, make a deposit, nigga. Blue in my closet, nigga. Gucci my body, homie. Ball in the hobby, homie. Then I go hop on the track. I get your body, homie. Rah! I am a murderer. I am a murderer. Yeah. Stealing all these niggas' bitches. I am a burglar. Ha!
Good drink. Good. Big nuts.
Hey.
Good drug. I put a phone on the rocks. Drop top. No hot box. 12 try to put me over. Pink slips to the cop. She said that my nigga go this face. Put that dick in a real cage. Webs out with the Kente. Diamonds clear like Bombay. Take your babies, no Harambe. Play with keys like Dodre. 3K like 100. Yeah, girl, call her come.
Salute, y'all. Salute, man. Salute, y'all. Got my boy Kobe in the building. We're gonna we're gonna do a reaction. You know, I'm in love with the music, so I be liking to break down the lyrics. So I be going to this guy's page called What's the Dirt. Shout out to What's the Dirt. If y'all don't know, subscribe to him, man. He's a white guy that breaks down all the lyrics of most of your best rappers and some of the greatest songs. And the man be on point and precise. So today, I guess he talking about Ye against Kdot. So we're gonna get into that real fast. You know, it is what it is. Y'all here for the ride. Y'all just ride. Shit, I'm out today. Shit, just be here. Y'all here, man. Y'all here with me. Understand it. Let me get this shit queued up, right, bro. I put up on the rocks. Drop top. No hot box. 12 try to pink slips to the cough. I don't know why my computer running rag.
Reason Ye has been on a full-on hate Kendrick spree. For the last several months, Ye has continuously disrespected the Compton native, and in a recent interview, he only doubles down.
Anybody that Kendrick is one of their favorite rappers don't know about rap.
As a huge fan of both of these artists, I immediately remembered that Kanye's comments about Kendrick in the past were literally the polar opposite.
You know, Kendrick is going to affect people in the future, right now and into the future.
With Kendrick, you know, that's God MC.
The craziest part about the whole thing is that no one has ever documented their full story.
Kanye wishes that was him.
Move. You are taking attention away from our main event.
Kendrick and Kanye have like an album's worth of unreleased songs together.
That he's one of our future messengers.
How was it opening for Kanye?
There wasn't no verse in a year.
And since Sway that list, he got a flat screen the next morning.
All right, so before Kendrick became a household name, Kanye was already one of the most successful artists on the planet. Due to a 10-year age difference, Kanye obviously had a huge head start. And to put things in perspective, when Kendrick finally did catch his buzz with Section 80, Kanye already had 5 phenomenal studio albums, one of the greatest album runs in music, period. However, long before Section 80, we would see the name Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar in the same places. Way back in 2005, on the Training Day mixtape, we get a 17-year-old Kdot name-dropping some of his biggest influences like Hov, Nas, Pac, Snoop, Biggie, and Eminem. He actually brings up Jay-Z quite a bit, and then Tupac, of course. At the time, Kanye was also still a new artist. The College Dropout had only been out for just over a year, and Kendrick would make reference to it on this tape on a track titled Dreams.
Then we start seeing spaceships. Kanye, West Coast nigga.
So you got Kanye West tying into the West Coast, and then he says spaceships, which was a track off College Dropout. And when it comes to this Training Day tape, Kanye actually comes up twice, as Kendrick rapped over the Grammy Family instrumental produced by Kanye.
Do not in my atmosphere, you can act like you here.
So this old 2005 mixtape is really the first time where their names both show up in the same place, or at least the same credits. Again, this was when he was going by Kdot and not Kendrick. However, unlike Drake, Big Sean, J. Cole, and many of his peers from that generation, Kendrick wasn't really influenced by Kanye to that extent. When you look at the evolution of his music from the beginning, it's fairly obvious that he took influence from people like Pac, Nas, Hov, Wayne, and Eminem. Scattered throughout his early work, you'll hear lots of references to these people, and then even in interviews, he pretty much brings up those same artists every time.
Jay-Z, Eminem, Tupac. Lil Wayne is very influential.
When I listen to a tape like No Sleep Till NYC, which dropped in 2007, or the C4 tape, which dropped in 2009, I don't hear much Kanye influence at all. Kendrick plays with a lot of different styles, but it's still very gritty, lyrics are at the forefront, and is primarily rooted in West Coast hip-hop. I think this is important to point out, because if you look at an artist like a Drake or even a J. Cole, you can definitely see Ye's influence very early on. Speaking of Lil Wayne, next Kendrick dropped the C4 tape, which was basically a freestyle version of the Carter 3, and Kanye's production comes up again on a track titled G-Code.
If you come over, make sure that you bring drink because I like to get drunk.
Which a lot of you will recognize
as
a
bad song right there. Let the beat build.
With the C4 tape, you'll also notice that Kendrick had now dropped the Kdot alias and began using his real name. This really acted as the beginning of a pivot towards a more conscious lane where he left behind the mixtape style and truly developed an identity.
Kdot was somebody that was taking niches from everybody that I looked up to.
While Kanye didn't directly shape Kendrick's sound, there's no denying that he helped shift the landscape. With The College Dropout and albums that followed, Kanye proved that introspective, thoughtful hip-hop could top the charts. That shift opened the doors for artists like Kendrick to be taken seriously, and when he dropped the Kendrick Lamar EP, it wasn't just a name change, it was the start of him stepping into his own identity, and to promote the project, he dropped a really clean freestyle over Kanye's So Appalled.
I'm so appalled, Louis Vuitton draws the shit. A booth for me, it's a bathroom stall.
Then when the EP dropped itself, on a track titled Celebration, Kendrick mentions Kanye again.
I put on repeat, Kanye's Touch the Sky, but I'm looking past that, I'm trying to touch God.
So it would appear that Kendrick used Kanye's Touch the Sky as some form of motivation. When you look at that record, it's really all about overcoming struggle and achieving your dreams. So it may have served as a reminder to Kendrick that there is something bigger beyond the struggle. And this is the first time where, Kendrick mentions Kanye's music as something that impacts him. And to support his claims of really liking the Touch the Sky record, he interpolates the lyrics from it on his track Determined.
But as you listening to Kdot, me and my girl split the bucket at KFC.
For anybody want a K-West beast, me and my girl split the buffet at KFC.
Damn, these niggas that much better than me, baby.
It's like, man, these niggas that much better than me, baby.
Sonically and definitely production-wise, this EP has very little Kanye influence, but thematically there is some overlap. Kanye came into the game and veered entirely away from the gangsta rap persona to speak on more conscious topics, and Kendrick does something similar as he goes the extra mile to push his own image outside of the stereotypes of a Compton rapper. That said, their backgrounds are totally different. Kanye came in as a middle-class kid with a backpack, while Kendrick came up in a much rougher environment. Kendrick's perspective feels way more in line with Tupac or Ice Cube than Kanye. And this is a really strong EP from Kendrick, right? Like, a very respectable. Next, we get Kendrick's project Overly Dedicated, and again, to promote the tape, he shared a freestyle over Kanye's Monster instrumental.
I'm like I invented it, my wordplay is unlimited, now nigga spin my bond.
I even dug up some old tweets where Kendrick said, "I had stupid fun recording Friday night, even more fun when Kanye leaked that Monster record." So he pretty much heard the Monster beat, recorded to it that night, and then dropped the freestyle like the very next day. It was pretty crazy to look at these old Kendrick tweets because the independent grime was definitely on full display. He shares that freestyle every other day to his socials with such little engagement. It's just crazy to see, like a Kendrick Lamar tweet for a freestyle with 0 likes and 2 retweets, especially knowing that.
Well, we are watching, y'all, for all the new people, what we are watching Kanye versus Kanye versus Kdot lyrics breakdown from What's the Dirt. If y'all don't know, go subscribe to What's the Dirt. Man, he breaks down all the baddest lyrics.
And for promotional purposes, this worked pretty good because quite a few blogs picked it up. Then there's also the fact that on the Overly Dedicated tape itself, on a track titled Night of the Junkies, Kendrick starts off his first verse with a line from Kanye's new workout plan.
And that's scary to me, dope beat, dope flow, very to me.
What's scary to me, and he make girls look like Halle Berry to me.
However, the project that really put Kendrick into the spotlight was Section 80, which is personally my favorite album from his discography, and on the single High Power, there is a sample of Kanye's So Appalled.
5-star dishes, food for thought bitches, champagne wishes, 30 white bitches, 5-star dishes, different exotic fishes.
And randomly enough, Twista posted a tweet saying, "Is it me or does Kendrick Lamar High Power sound like Kanye?" To which Kendrick retweeted and said, "You're right, I bit power for a few obvious reasons." And I found this really interesting. Including myself, most of us have never drawn any sort of parallels between Kendrick's High Power and Kanye's Power.
Stop tripping, I'm tripping off the power.
Bobby Seale making meals, you can't resist his high power.
Again, the two tracks have completely different meanings. Kanye talks about power in a way that is very egotistical. He acknowledges that there is an abuse of power within a corrupt system, but his way of dealing with it is through more fame and success. Kendrick, on the other hand, puts the concept of power right back into the hands of his people. One song is about fame, ego, and the burden of celebrity, while the other is about self-respect, Black empowerment, and reclaiming power through unity. It's really interesting to learn that Kanye's power seemed to influence Kendrick's direction for how he approached one of his best songs ever. If I ever had a chance to interview Kendrick, I would definitely ask him this. I think it's a good question. In hindsight, Kendrick's early tweet admitting that he bit Kanye's power for a few obvious reasons was really an early indicator of just how different these two artists were. Even on So Appalled, he'll do things like he'll flip 5-star dishes, different exotic fishes, like I'm living the life, to 5-star dishes, food for thought bitches. Bobby Seale making meals in the kitchen. Like, it's a whole pivot away from that. Section 80 was getting a lot of well-deserved hype, and when Kendrick sat down with Billboard, he said that his favorite rappers were Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Nas. And this is really the first time where he mentions Kanye.
Like, these are bars. That's why I like this guy out. Even Kanye West and them, even DJ Academics and them, they shouted this guy out, bro, because it takes work, blood, sweat, and tears. Name a Black person that does this right now, that breaks down the lyrics and can go back to old tweets and shit like that, bro. And they don't, bro. That nigga hit this man sits in that little office and listens to music. He's so much of a hip hop head that he can break everything down. They not saying he lying. They not being mad at him and trying to sue him or nothing. He's telling the truth because all you got to do is listen, man. That music, them bars that Kanye and Drake and all them top tier rappers that write raps, my nigga, like they music be having meaning too.
As one of his favorites. At the time, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy just dropped, so maybe he was probably inspired by that album. Interestingly enough, years later, DJ Toasty would do a Good Kid, Mad City, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy mashup, and it worked out really well.
Brace yourself, I take you on a trip down memory lane. Public visitation, we met at Borders.
Major shout out to that DJ. I'll leave the link below. It's actually pretty far. It was also around this time when Hove and Ye dropped Watch the Throne, and while some people didn't like it, Kendrick wasn't one of them.
Watch the Throne, I like it. I ain't even front. I
It's
like
something
it.
that has to grow on you, I think.
Yeah, I rolled with it for a while in the iPod, and I really start.
The
Okay,
first time,
Watch the Throne. I mean, these two kings right here.
On the conversation of Watch the Throne, Kendrick would later share that he purchased a ticket for that tour and claimed it was the best show that he had ever seen.
It was my first time ever seeing Jay-Z on stage. That was like the best show I ever seen. So anytime I go to somebody else's show, it's like, damn, I would never be able to get that same feeling that Jay and Kanye.
Salute, Jess.
Heading into 2012, Kendrick would mention Kanye again, except this time his comments were not as flattering. Kanye had recently started dating Kim Kardashian, and when asked about it, Kendrick said that she was worn out and that Kanye could keep that. 50 said something very similar. He said something like, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, or something like that.
I didn't
Kendrick
like
would
the
then
CD
drop
either.
what many label as his first classic project, Good Kid, Mad City, and on the track Mad City, he uses Kanye's lyrics again.
Projects toe up, gang signs stone up. Projects toe up, gang signs get thrown up.
And to be fair, this is literally one of the best beat switches ever. It's definitely in my list.
Brace yourself, I take you on a trip down memory lane. Fresh out of school, cause I was a high school grad.
Another track that you guys might not realize has a link to Kanye was none other than Backseat Freestyle, as Hit Boy, the man behind the production, was signed to Kanye's Good Music at the time.
Park it in front of looters, next to that church's chicken.
Possible Kanye got a little kickback from Backseat Freestyle. Very possible. Good Kid, Mad City is ranked as one of the best concept albums of all time, where it plays out like a full-on movie. Now, some would argue that Kanye's earlier catalog helped influence Kendrick's approach, And I would have to agree. While sonically there's few similarities, Kanye did help build on the philosophy of being a human and honest in your music. Kanye wasn't the first artist in hip-hop to record an album with a thematic approach, and he definitely wasn't the first rapper to be conscious, but he did make it more appreciated and widespread. While both artists explore themes around faith, religion, systemic oppression, and self-worth, their approach to these topics are often very different because their perspective is very different. Good Kid, Mad City is a linear story that is structured like a novel, while Kanye's first 6 albums are like chapters in his own growing biography. Despite very different styles, when you peel back the layers, both artists seem to share one common theme, and that is the question, who am I in this world, and what will it cost me to be myself? Sonically very different, but you know, to say that Kanye didn't influence Kendrick at all I don't think that would be fair. Anyways, at this point, Kendrick had turned into a full-blown superstar. He's racking up plenty of accolades, and with a respectable story, message, and album, he clinched the #1 spot for MTV's Hottest MC.
And you, Kendrick Lamar, are the hottest MC in the game, according to the MTV.
However, Kanye was someone that voiced his disapproval of the rankings, not only because he was #7, but also stating that Lil Wayne should have been #1.
I don't think it's like them going really bar for bar. I said, lucky I didn't have Jay dropping from the team. Ain't no bar of entire past 12 months that's hotter than that bar. I think that Wayne is the #1 rapper. Him and Jay and M and certain people are just like the greatest rappers. They don't like Givenchy Kanye.
One of the more standout things that Kanye said, which you'll soon see why that is when he mentioned that he gave Sway his first television.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, I gave Sway his first TV, man. I was getting a new TV.
Right.
And I gave Sway his first TV.
Then it was just the very next day where Kendrick would get asked about his thoughts on Kanye's comments.
He was #7. You didn't like the #7.
Right.
Do you think he deserved a higher spot?
Do I think he deserves a high spot? Definitely. I mean, it's Kanye. You know, he's been putting in work for years.
If you guessed that Kendrick would respond in his music, you would have been right. At this point, he had a very hot hand, and if you get a feature from him, you know he's coming in on 10, which is exactly what he did on the remix of UOENO.
And I've been in the lab with my opponents. And since Sway that list, he got a flat screen the next morning. Tell him I need my credit when it's due.
So this is a really direct response to what Kanye was saying on that radio phone call. Kendrick is more or less rubbing it in that he was given the #1 spot, and in a funny and petty way, claims that he sent Sway a new flat screen TV the very next day. You'll also notice that he's saying he needs his credit where it's due.
Tell him I need my credit when it's due.
I like the energy because he's basically saying, I'm here now. You guys aren't gonna, you're not gonna little bro me. That's not gonna happen. Interestingly enough, Kanye was slated to be on that exact same remix, but for whatever reason, it never materialized, which makes the line even harder if Kendrick knew or thought that, you know, Kanye was supposed to be on it.
Even Tarzan can get swung on. I never hung out with the loudmouth.
With that said, Kanye seemed to have bigger fish to fry, like releasing his big single, New Slaves, which he rolled out in the most legendary way, projecting the video onto 66 different buildings across the world. Kendrick thought this was completely genius.
Kanye doing that, just him being Kanye, being the genius that he is, and, you know, challenging the game and raising the stakes, man. So
yeah, you got one up right there.
Always. The album title, from what we hear, is tentatively called Yeezus.
Yeezus,
like Jesus, but Yeezus.
That's crazy.
What do you think of that?
That's crazy. I want to hear that.
A few months later, the Yeezus album officially dropped, and labeling this project as experimental would be an understatement. Some people loved it, some people hated it. The album was getting a lot of mixed reviews, but one person who admired the switch up was Kendrick Lamar. As I kept listening throughout the week, I understood where he was going, and that was him stepping out of the box again and doing what he felt. For somebody to come back and do what they want, it helps out new cats like myself, Cole, Drake, whoever. So salute. I think what Kendrick admires about like Yeezus the most is the risk-taking aspect and, you know, doing whatever you want. At the end of the day, Kanye's opinions didn't matter to Kendrick because in his mind, he felt that he was number one and he was about to let the whole world know about it.
Trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you niggas.
At this point, you all know the story of Control, but an interesting thing to note is that out of all the MCs that Kendrick mentioned, Kanye was not one of them.
Kendrick, Jigga, and Nas, Eminem, Andre 3000, Jermaine, Big Crit, Wale, Pusha T, Meek Mills, A$AP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean, J Electron, Tyler McMillan.
In saying that, even though he wasn't mentioned, much like the culture at large, Kanye shared some praise for Kendrick's verse.
It's kind of like when Jay-Z did Death for Autotune. That was a necessary moment. If I made a diss record of myself, I would kill me.
So if Kendrick wasn't on Kanye's radar before, he definitely was now. And just 2 weeks after Control dropped, Kanye ran up to Kendrick at the MTV Awards and personally asked him to be an opening act for his Yeezus tour. Now, TDE did not want Kendrick to go on this tour because they wanted him recording, but Kanye would not take no for an answer. He even went out of his way to find a tour bus with a studio on it just to entice Kendrick to join. They both put a lot of stock into their shows and into their performances, so it's a perfect fit. Kendrick also shared that he was impressed with the direction that Kanye wanted to take for the tour, saying, Kanye said he didn't want to make it seem like we were just the opener. It was dope to have the actual headliner of the show want my show to be just as good as his. And this was something that Kanye spoke about.
Where people be sunning they opening act. Like they'd turn their music down, they be doing that, And it's like, man, we need to be giving the people younger than us as many resources as possible, as opposed to holding back those resources.
So just like that, Kendrick puts pen to paper and officially joins the tour with Kanye, who claimed that he was excited to speak with Kendrick to give him as much game as possible.
I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to speak to this brother as much as possible. Those conversations is going to be more than everything I even said right here, because he's one of our future messengers, and I'm gonna give him them jewels.
And Kendrick said he was ready. He was ready to soak up, all this knowledge.
It be taking it all in stride and being a student of the game. You get in competition with this nigga. Challenge myself, grow myself, and take it to the next level.
When Kanye asked why he selected Kendrick for the tour, he went on to say that he really respected his music and that he knew Kendrick was destined to inspire a lot of people in the future.
Why'd you pick Tribe? Why'd you pick Kendrick? How'd that go down?
You know why? It's just like real music. Things that affected you, like Tribe affected me. Kendrick is going to affect people in the future, right now and into the future. Just picking artists that you respect and enjoy.
With that said, while many assumed that they would spend a lot of time together on this tour, that simply wasn't the case. A writer named Liz Goodman, who was doing a story on Kendrick, followed him around for 3 full weeks and claimed that she only saw him with Kanye one time, and that exchange lasted less than 30 minutes. Which could be for a number of reasons, right? This is just my theory, but I believe TDE looked at this tour as a business opportunity first. Kanye had a very pop-friendly audience, and Kendrick would get exposed to a wider range of people. However, I don't believe for 1 second that TDE wanted Kendrick to get mentored by Kanye West. Kendrick had the most wholesome, cleanest image in the industry, and a new Kanye West headline was surfacing every other day. I wouldn't be surprised if they limited how much time he was even with Kanye. I wouldn't. There's also the fact that the contract had already been signed between them, and afterwards, Kanye decided to roll out Confederate flag merch for the tour.
Hip Hollywood recently visited his Yeezus pop-up store that seemed to be totally Confederate flag themed. And this week's photos of Kanye West show that the flag does not seem like it's coming down.
So I took the Confederate flag and made it my flag.
There's just a massive contrast when we see Kendrick just a year later sharing William Pope's flag, knowing what Pope's flag represented. In fact, Pope's torn and distorted flag really embodies the history of the Confederacy itself. I would be shocked to learn that Kendrick or TDE Punch or any of those guys fuck with this merch. Speaking of TDE Punch, my theory about keeping Kendrick away from Kanye could be totally out to lunch. While I'm sure some of you saw Punch recently call Kanye out, he's got a far longer history of doing the opposite. Since 2010, there are countless TDE Punch tweets that are in full support and admiration of Kanye. He's got so many tweets admiring Kanye, like even in times where the world had turned against him. TDE punches, like shooting him bail and giving him grace. Like, it's obvious he's a big fan of Kanye. Realistically speaking, Kendrick was probably just incredibly busy working, as when TDE said that they wanted them recording while on this tour, they definitely weren't lying.
Flying Lotus gave me all these beats. I remember going on the Kanye tour and like really just rocking out the majority of the beats that he gave me. I actually wrote the lyrics for More Than Man on the Kanye tour.
Now, with all that said, this tour did seem to play a massive role in Kendrick's career, as he learned just as much about the creative mindset as he did about performing.
How was it opening for Kanye on
Man,
tour?
it was a crazy experience. I learned a lot from him, dude. He's a creative monster, you know, on audience.
Crazy creative, yeah.
Not just on the music, but just, you know, in performing as well, you know, and, you know, bringing positive energy and a whole new light as far as the culture of entertainment.
Kendrick would later expand on this by saying, Kanye taught me to never downplay your ideas. I learned to always stay as creative as possible and never have any boundaries. And, you know, any creator will tell you that that sort of knowledge is really, it's invaluable. Shortly after the tour was announced, we also get to hear my favorite Kendrick feature ever, which was Nostalgia with Kanye's artist Pusha T.
And smokers repeatedly buying my Sega Genesis, either that or my auntie was stealing it.
While we did hear Kendrick over Kanye's production on mixtapes and freestyles, the Nostalgia record marked the first official time where he was sent a fresh Kanye West beat that had his name on it. I must have played this record 10,000 times that year.
Go figure, motherfucker, every verse is a brick. Your son dope, nigga.
Heading into 2014, one man that was marked for greatness at the Grammys that year was Kendrick. However, it's at this point where we get the infamous Macklemore Grammy snub.
But they also won the highly coveted award for Best Rap Album for their album, The Heist.
However, Macklemore didn't just beat Kendrick that night, but also Kanye, who shared his thoughts about the situation. Being someone who has never shied away from sharing his thoughts about the Grammys, Kanye went into an onstage rant where he was really just pissed off that Yeezus only received 2 nominations that year.
You remember that nigga, he went crazy that year, bro. He just went off the wall. He was just about the Grammys, man. Y'all don't go to the Grammys and all that. Y'all remember all that stuff? All that stuff he was saying.
But only gets 2 nominations from the Grammys. What are they trying to say?
So he wasn't really going to bat for Kendrick at all. He was really just going to bat for himself. One organization that did see Kendrick's value was the NBA, as he was selected to perform at the All-Star game that year. While a lot of people were excited to see him perform, the sneaker community made noise for a completely different reason. On foot that night, Kendrick was wearing the recently released Yeezy Red October.
Red October.
I guess being on tour with Kanye.
Bro, this is one of the most.
I wanted them hoes. I ain't gonna lie. Them hoes.
Bro, I want them still right now. This is, look at the tag on them, what they cost, nigga. Right now, these hoes is 5 bands right now. Right now, 5 bands, man. You take them hoes to any sneaker bazaar, they gonna buy them hoes up off you. Man, the last sneaker bazaar that I went to, Cole, my nigga, that's all they really want to buy. They wouldn't even worry about no, they wanted Yeezys, fool. If you had them hoes dead stock, they gonna, it don't matter if you had 50 pair for sale, they gonna buy them hoes if they was dead stock, nigga. Telling you, nigga. That shit, nigga, them hoes Red Octobers, bro. These hoes worth 5 bands, nigga.
It did come with some benefits, as the sneakers sold out in less than 10 minutes, and it's believed that less than 5,000 pairs exist. I wanted a pair when they came out. I want a pair now. It's way too expensive.
Now look at
However,
it,
the sneakers itself had zero
that was when they came out, nigga. He said the price tag on them hoes right now is 13 bands, nigga. $13,000 bucks, nigga, for the motherfucking Red October.
Effects. At this point,
And
it was
they nice.
abundantly clear
That's
to
what I
everyone
wanted.
that the personality traits of a Kendrick versus a Kanye were very different.
Why is it that you wouldn't date a celebrity? You have kind of managed to stay out
Yeah.
of that limelight.
Personally, I feel, you know, it takes away from the music.
Mhm.
A lot of times,
Definitely,
you know, you
OG.
become more of a celebrity than the artist. You know, your name is in the headlights and the blogs, not for your song you put out, but you know, for the propaganda around it. It's all entertainment more so than the music.
And he has held on to this this principle of only speaking in the music. In 2015, Kendrick finally secured his first Grammy with the single For I, and his next move would only yield more future trophies as he dropped his sophomore album, To Pimp a Butterfly.
When I get signed on me, I'ma buy a strap straight from the CIA, set it on my lap.
While sonically this album was not comparable to Kanye's Yeezus, both albums shared similar themes like modern-day oppression, racism, materialism, addiction. They just did it in very different ways. With that said, one thing that these projects did have in common was a complete pivot from their previous sound. To Pimp a Butterfly for a sophomore album was a massive risk that worked out extremely well. When you take into account that Kendrick had already shared his admiration for Kanye's switch-up with Yeezus, and pair it with the fact that he claimed Kanye taught him to have zero boundaries creatively, it's very possible that Ye had some influence on To Pimp a Butterfly.
His approach sets him apart just because he's not scared. He's not scared of failure. Period. How can you defeat somebody that's not scared to die?
Speaking of To Pimp a Butterfly, the media went into a frenzy when it came to Kendrick's single for King Kunta, as they felt he was dissing Kanye for having ghostwriters.
But a rapper with a ghostwriter. What the fuck happened?
Which, as we know now, these lines were about Drake.
About Drake.
Kendrick just knew about the Miller
before
shit
everybody else.
The story
before everybody else knew.
I wouldn't tell, but most of y'all sharing bars like you got the bottom bunk in a two-man sale.
While on the topic of hiring writers, it was around this time where a leaked version of Kanye's All Day surfaced, and the man heard behind the beat was none other than Kendrick Lamar.
Shot down BJ on a BJ. Shot down, we play for the free base.
Many fans thought that the leaked record was a remix of Kanye's original track, but this simply wasn't the case. The verse heard by Kendrick on that leak wasn't a remix at all, but a reference track. It turns out that Kendrick was hard to write for Kanye, and although he didn't use all of Kendrick's material, you can still see that he used some of it on the original version.
24/7, 365 days, everybody getting paid. Nigga looking at me like I'm worth both MJs.
24/7, 365 days, everybody getting paid. Niggas looking at me like I'm worth both MJs.
Hey, that's
why when
crazy,
you look at
y'all.
the credits for the original
It's
track,
crazy.
Kendrick is listed as a writer along with a bunch of other people. Saying the guy that you hired to write for you can't rap is crazy. Anyways, To Pimp a Butterfly was getting a lot of praise across the industry, and Kanye took to Twitter to give his perspective. Kendrick is an inspiration. Thank you for the vibrations and the spirit. Your meaning, message, and execution are gifts to the world.
Kanye was excited about your album as well. That had to have been crazy to wake up and see all those tweets.
Yeah, definitely, because all of those individuals are artists that I respect.
Sure.
And been respecting before my time. You know, when you talk about Kanye, when you talk about Snoop, these cats, you know, that actually inspired me to do what I do. And so to have that same type of respect, you know, from people that you admire, it's just a win-win on the artistic level.
With all that said, as impactful as To Pimp a Butterfly was, Kanye's next announcement took boldness to a whole other level.
I have decided in 2020 to run for president.
A lot of people laughed at the idea of Kanye chopping up samples in the White House, but someone who seemingly supported the idea was Kendrick. Everyone went crazy when he linked with J. Cole to trade beats for Black Friday, and Kendrick didn't miss the chance to sneak in a few lines about Ye.
I'm yelling Mr. Kanye West for president. Probably let me get some head inside the residence. I'm in the White House going all out, pumping college dropout. God bless Americans.
Coming into 2016, it finally happens. We get the first official Kanye and Kendrick collaboration, No More Parties in LA.
Hey baby, you forgot your Ray-Bans, and my sheets still orange from your spray tan.
Well, cutie, I like your bougie booty. Come here, by do me. Well,
A lot of people claim that Kanye had the better verse, but you guys leave it in the comments. When speaking on the collaboration, Kanye literally called Kendrick the God MC.
With Kendrick,
That's
you know,
what he
that's
said.
God MC.
Kanye would then set Twitter on fire when he shared a photo of both himself and Kendrick in the studio, and based on my research, this is the only photo that they have together. Actually, I did find another one. It's still in the studio. I'll put it up here somewhere. In saying that, the studio sessions seem to have been very productive, as according to Kanye, they recorded up to 40 tracks. And Consequence later confirmed that they did have enough music to make a full album.
Beats. Have you heard these songs?
Yeah, it was over M.A.A.D beats.
There's like an album's worth of Kendrick, Kanye songs over M.A.A.D production.
Yeah.
What happens to this music and what's it sound like?
Yeah, I heard the whole thing. Yeah, it was there. It's there.
It's crazy.
Coming off the release of No More Parties in LA, Kanye finally dropped his next project, The Life of Pablo, and Kendrick only had good things to say about it at the Grammys.
What was your reaction to Kanye's new album and some of his controversial lyrics?
Oh man, Kanye is incredible, period. You know, and he gives us the light to express ourselves the way we want to since day one. So whatever he says, that's how he feels, and he's going to get it off that way.
Speaking of the Grammys, it was on this night where Kendrick delivered a very politically charged show, which triggered Trevor Noah to say, Kendrick is what Kanye would have been if the Kardashians didn't get him. And these sorts of comparisons didn't stop at Trevor Noah. BET's Paul Mera wrote an entire article about the exact same topic, saying, Kendrick Lamar is Kanye West without the reality baggage, misplaced anger, or sexist statements. He's the George W. Bush doesn't care about black people of our time, but with the ability to put it together in a way that West doesn't do anymore. There were a lot of articles and blogs and fans comparing Kanye and Kendrick. And Kendrick's performance at the Grammys that year wasn't his only W. He completely cleaned up, winning 5 different awards, 3 of which were in categories that Kanye had been nominated. But unlike most of the other years, Kanye didn't comment on these awards. I couldn't find anything on it. Next, we get the surprise untitled album from Kendrick, which is a project that doesn't get as much recognition. However, due to the fact that The Life of Pablo released just a month before, this surprise release triggered media outlets and fans to compare the two artists even more. How modest is this man? See, Kanye? This is how you release an album without annoying your fans. Another fan wrote, the way this album dropped is pretty much the complete opposite of a Kanye West album release. Even Kanye's long-standing collaborator, Mike Dean, took to Twitter to voice his opinion. Kendrick and Kanye are all doing big things. Why do people have to be such sick, arrogant pricks? The reason why fans compare them is not because of their similarities. It's because of how different they are. That's why. Took to Twitter, and an hour later, he quoted the lyrics from one of the tracks.
Get top on the phone.
Towards the end of the year, everything had compounded for Kanye, and he had a major meltdown on the St. Pablo tour, leading to his hospitalization.
I wasn't allowed to do this. Yeah!
In 2017, Kendrick would release a big-time fan favorite with Damn, while Kanye went completely silent. After the hospitalization, he deleted his Twitter and Instagram accounts. There was nothing to report between the two rappers. My best guess is Kanye was likely medicated and stable during this time, as he had been diagnosed with bipolar.
Y'all hit that like button, man. We'll be right back with these messages. Where you at, Self-Made? Y'all bear with us. We having technical difficulties.
My bad, my bad. Shit. Should just kick me out, man. You know, this why I don't like fucking with stream, yo. Y'all kick me out, fool. Should just kick me out.
Kanye sounds pretty good too, to be honest. I think this had potential. The second track that was leaked was an early version of Kanye's Father Stretch My Hands 1. It's really unclear as to why Kendrick's demo didn't make the cut. Some might say this was another reference track, but I don't believe that to be true because Kendrick is definitely rapping like he's Kendrick. It just doesn't quite seem like a reference track to me. Shortly after the tracks leaked, Kanye made his triumphant return to Twitter and chaos immediately ensued. In a series of tweets, Kanye claimed that he loved Donald Trump, saying that he respected independent thinking and showed off his new M.A.A.D hat. And really, I think this is the point where Kendrick, I think he had enough. At an alarming rate, Kanye was losing followers on Twitter, with one of those people being Kendrick. Some might say this was a drastic reaction, but Kanye's new political views were the polar opposite of the message being presented by the man who wrote To Pimp a Butterfly.
I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here. I love this guy right here. Yeah.
I mean, he rolled out Damn with this record.
Donald Trump is a chump. Know how we feel, punk. Tell him the God coming.
And look, I don't know Kendrick at all, but he does strike me as a person with a very small threshold for bullshit. I believe Kanye's long history of antics, like the Confederate flag merch, built up to this moment, and Kendrick decided this wasn't someone he wanted to associate with. I also look at this from a business perspective when it comes to the 40 songs that they recorded. I don't know what their plans were for that music, but if I'm TDE, the last place I want my superstar artist is wasting time in the studio only for the music to get abandoned. I can almost guarantee, like, something happened with that music. Something happened. Like, there's an untold story behind that music. And from here, it only seemed to get worse, as at TMZ, Kanye made the slavery was a choice statement.
I just love Trump. That's my boy. Like, when you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
People were absolutely outraged by these statements, and not long after, Kendrick was asked about his thoughts on it, where after a very long pause, he said, Kanye has his own perspective, and he's on this whole agree to disagree thing, and I would have this conversation with him personally if I wanted to, which I'm convinced he doesn't want to, and we're not going to hear anything about it in an interview anyway, because he just doesn't talk shit in interviews. To end off the year, the only thing that Kendrick and Kanye had in common was that they both made Forbes' richest rappers in the world, but that is pretty much it. As 2019 began, it was now Kendrick who went quiet. No music, no interviews, no social media, and for the next few years, there was little to no interaction between the two artists. However, we did get more confirmation straight from Madlib himself that the unreleased Kendrick and Kanye music was definitely real.
I gave him like 100 beats, and him and Kendrick were rapping over a bunch of stuff, but they didn't really put the stuff out. That's the only one they put out.
In 2020, while on one of his many Twitter rants, Kanye decided to bring up Kendrick.
Hold it down, so man.
DJ, Cole, Drake, Kendrick, all in a room together. It's time to get free. No response from
All
Kendrick.
right, sucker.
With all that said, in 2021, the Boogeyman decided to pop out, and on a track titled Family Ties with Baby Keem, he had a lot to say.
I am the Omega. PG Lane Rolly Gang SIE. Don't you address me unless it's with 4 letters.
And when it comes to this track, he also mentions Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye changed his life, but me, I'm still an old school Gemini. Bitch.
Now, I find this reference extremely interesting because in the sequence of lines before that, Kendrick appears to make reference to a joint project that he had with someone and tells them to burn it.
Motherfuck that album, fuck that single, burn that hard drive. Burn that shit.
Some speculated that these lines were directed at J. Cole because they also had unreleased music. However, for a few different reasons, I believe this is actually about Kanye. You'll notice that Kendrick refers to himself as the Elohim, which is a Hebrew term for the word God. Now, at the time, Kanye was more or less acting like a messenger of God as he held the Sunday services, and he dropped a full-on gospel album.
But if I try to lead you to Jesus.
Kendrick claims before you even get to the Father, you need to talk to him first. And you'll also see that Kendrick makes reference to a rebirth, which at the time is exactly what Kanye claimed happened to him. Kendrick then talks about what appears to be unreleased music, mentions Kanye's name, and even says, "Let me jump in this bitch." And one of the unreleased tracks that they had together was literally called Don't Jump.
Yeah, Kanye changed his life, but me, I'm still an old school Gemini. Bitch.
I think at a very minimum, we can at least admit that there is some parallels here. And it seems like Ye caught onto this because just a few months later, he directly quotes the exact same lines on Drink Champs.
I need every single Gemini, specifically MC. I need every. okay. Top 5, especially Gemini.
And that's not the only time he mentioned Kendrick in that interview. At one point, Kanye started listing rappers who he claimed were products of himself, and he threw Kendrick in the mix.
They started making more yays. Tyler making better videos. Drake, more records. Virgil, higher position in fashion. J. Cole, more backpack. Or Kendrick, better bars and stuff.
He also claimed that when he dropped Donda, all the rappers that he just mentioned had to fall back to witness the real GOAT in action.
I literally had to go like Thanos, and I don't want to have to be the villain. But when I went and did the Donda thing, Ye returned. Yeah. And everybody had to sit back and watch the real leader.
Massive Donda fan. I think Come to Life is one of the best songs ever.
You know where to find me. They cannot define me, so they crucify me.
And speaking on the Donda album, Kendrick does have somewhat of a link to it, as Baby Keem, who was his artist under PG Lang, was featured on the project.
I need a new girl. My old one was mean. I had to let go.
With all that said, 5 years had passed since Damn, and fans were eager to hear some new music. And in true Kendrick fashion, he pops out with the Heart Part 5 music video. In the video, Kendrick morphs into a few different celebrities, one being Kanye West.
Friends bipolar, grab you by your pockets, no option if you froze up.
And to be clear, I don't see this as a diss at all. Kendrick actually seems to be showing some empathy towards Kanye's situation. I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, but there are some really good videos on YouTube already, like breaking down the symbolism of the video. Kendrick would then drop his long-awaited project, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you would know that I absolutely love this project. Section 80 is my number 1, then it's Mr. Morale is my number 2. I love the project. And it was on the track Father Time where Kendrick mentions Kanye again.
When Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly confused.
As you know, Kanye and Drake have a very complicated history, and after a lot of turmoil, they linked back up for the Larry Hoover benefit concert.
Guess I'm not mature as I think. Guess I'm healing to do.
When you look at the theme of the Father Time record itself, it's clear Kendrick has issues with forgiving people, especially if they did him wrong, much less a direct competitor. I believe it's here where he's basically saying he has zero intentions of ever piecing it up with Drake, possibly looking at both of them as being weak for squashing their beef. And for me, this is one of my favorite Kendrick records ever. The Father Time record is amazing.
Daddy issues made me learn losses. I don't take those well.
While Kanye and Kendrick shared very few personality traits, they did have one striking thing in common. Both sparked backlash from Christian groups for using Christ-like imagery. In 2006, Kanye appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone wearing a crown of thorns, causing heavy criticism for portraying himself as Jesus. Kendrick faced similar scrutiny when he wore a crown of thorns on the cover of Mr. Morale, but he took it even further, performing live on his world tour while wearing it. With that said, any sort of similarities stop at the crown, because at this point, a Kendrick interview was a very rare sighting. However, in the case of Kanye, well, take a look for yourself.
Well, Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
By posing it up in the design with polarizing conservative commentator Candace Owens.
I see good things about Hitler also.
If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that.
After he posted a racial slur about The Daily Show host Trevor Noah.
West brought along Nick Fuentes, a politically active white supremacist and Holocaust denier.
We've got the white Christian men that built this country the first time, and we'll do it again.
Just think of it this way. Do you really believe that Kendrick watches shit like that and thinks, oh, wow, I love what Kanye's doing. It's so inspiring. Like, probably fucking not. Look, this isn't brain surgeon material. If you look at how Kendrick presents himself and the political stance that he subscribed to, I'm not sure why anyone would be shocked to learn that he likely does not fuck with Kanye. And look, this is just my opinion, but I feel like it's leaning towards common sense.
Yo, I'm here with my white supremacist homeboy, Nick.
However, now we are at the point where it's 2024, a year that will go down as one of the most exciting times in hip hop. And on March 22nd, as you guys know, Kendrick dropped the bomb. At this point, the entire world was talking about Kendrick, and Ye decided to insert himself into the situation. Just a few days after the song dropped, Kanye randomly shared "No More Parties in LA" to his Instagram story. People were thinking like, oh, Kanye's supporting Kendrick. He's Team Kendrick, which turned out to be nowhere close to the truth, as a few days later, Ye took to Twitter to claim that he absolutely washed Kendrick on that track and that everybody knows it. In no way, shape, or form did he wash him, but like a lot of people agree with this. If you're going to wash someone, that means you've embarrassed them. Like, it's not even close. It's like a blowout. With that said, Kanye didn't stop there, as he released a remix of the Like That record where he seemingly backs up Kendrick and takes shots at Drake.
Yo, Dot, I got you. I can't even think of a Drake line.
Which, if we're being real, nobody cared about this. Like, I was getting a lot of requests on the channel at that time. People wanted me to break down Rick Ross. People want me to break down Quavo and Chris Brown. I can't think of anyone who asked me to break this record down. Like, no one. Kanye's attempt at inserting himself into the beef was generally frowned upon, and even Joe Budden had some words about it.
Kanye, sit your fucking ass down somewhere. Mind your fucking business. This is not about you. This is some attention-seeking shit.
It was around this time where J. Cole had apologized to Kendrick as he released 7 Minute Drill, and Kanye made sure to clown him for it.
J. Cole apologized to Kendrick.
Fuck all that pussy shit.
Oh, shit.
Fuck all that shit.
Yeah, you have it.
Yo, fuck all that shit, man, because it's like that nigga J. Cole went on tour with Drake. You know what it is. It's like, nigga, you can't run now. It's you.
It was also during this interview where Kanye claimed that Kendrick wouldn't win the beef because he himself would be the real winner.
What do you think Kendrick's gonna do now? Do you think he got some shit for Drake? Who do you think wins that battle?
Win. I got some shit for Drake, and nobody won it with me.
He also fully acknowledged that Kendrick completely shifted the energy when he dropped that verse, and that it took away from his Vultures project.
Kendrick shifted the energy. You know what I mean? Like, we brought out Vultures #1, Carnival's #1. It was like it was our birthday every day.
Yeah.
Soon enough, Kendrick dropped Euphoria, which I did break down on the channel, and people made claims that he used Kanye's flow from Get 'Em High.
Cause we don't wanna hear that weak shit no more. We don't wanna hear you say nigga no more.
This was something that I didn't include in my breakdown, but I do get why people are saying it. As the beef came to a close, coming off the energy of his big win, Kendrick planned a pop-out show in LA, which fans speculated Kanye would be present. Kanye was not there, and I highly doubt he got an invite. Next, Kendrick dropped a surprise track, which many fans labeled Watch the Party Die. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a Kanye diss, but it certainly speaks on some of the behaviors that he's guilty of. In the last verse, Kendrick shouts out 2 Christian rappers and censors a line.
Sometimes I wonder what Lecrae would do. These niggas up or show them just what prayer do. I want to be empathetic, my heart like D1, but I will.
And it turns out both Lecrae and D1 have shared criticism for Kanye. In fact, just like this line, Lecrae stated that he was going to pray for him.
So if he's saying I don't follow God, then to me, he outside of God's people, and all I can do is pray for him.
And D1 also did exactly what Kendrick says here, as when speaking on Ye, he shows empathy towards him, but also calls him a clown.
You sounded like a clown, and that doesn't mean that I don't still love you. I can still love you, but I can also acknowledge that, yeah, you on some clown business right now.
I want to be empathetic, my heart like D1, but I will.
A lot of people seem to believe that the censored line was directed at J. Cole, but while on the topic of Christian rappers, my theory is that it was about Ye. I believe a Kanye reference makes total sense here, as it was just a few months prior where Kanye criticized Christianity, claimed that he didn't follow Jesus, and called himself God.
Cause I'm God. Cause I'm God.
Cause I'm God. Cause now he's saying, man, I don't follow Jesus. I don't follow God. I am God.
Say I am God. You know what I mean? And
And look, some might say I'm reaching, which could be true. But I also believe out of all the little theories going around, my theory is very respectable. As 2025 began, Kendrick swept the Grammys, even beating Kanye in the Best Rap Song category. Surprisingly, Ye took the loss well, posting a photo of Kendrick holding his trophies with the caption, Gemini season, with a goat emoji. So far, so good. Shortly after, Ye praised Kendrick in an interview, saying that he killed Drake and had shifted the frequency of hip-hop and was essentially unbeatable in a battle.
Why you killed my nemesis? Where's the movies if it ain't no Drake? If you rap against Kendrick, you will lose. Oh, this man does this. And our Kendrick has now advanced the frequency.
But he still leaves the door open to the idea that he could beat Kendrick.
There you have it. Do not rap against Kendrick Lamar.
Unless you're a psycho genius like me.
Unless you're a psycho genius like Ye.
Let's just be real here. Like, even the biggest Kanye stan should be able to admit that he would have absolutely zero chance. However, just days later, Kanye accused UMG of using Kendrick as a puppet to destroy Drake. Around this time, Ye was completely spiraling publicly, defending Nazis, disrespecting Virgil, and dropping swastika merch. Charlemagne suggested Ye's outburst stemmed from jealousy of Kendrick, and honestly, that doesn't feel far off.
That's just attention seeking. He's doing that because he's envious of Kendrick's moment. He wishes this was him because Kendrick is having a moment for being a prolific artist who took out his #1 op, Drake. Right? That's what Kanye wishes that was him in this moment. So he's been doing all these antics for attention all week because he's trying to get people to do exactly what they are doing now, and that's talking about him. But Kanye, that is a sideshow compared to what Kendrick did on Sunday at the Grammys and what Kendrick is going to do this Sunday at the Super Bowl.
I think Charlemagne is right. I think there's some merit to what he's saying. Meanwhile, Kendrick was far too busy dominating, fresh off his Super Bowl performance. Even still, Kanye initially gave him some praise for his performance, but that will be the last time.
And I really loved the show. It was my favorite halftime show since like a Michael Jackson era, which I kind of just barely remember. I just be seeing clips of it.
Everything really flipped when Playboi Carti dropped a project featuring Kendrick 3 times, a project Kanye claims he was removed from. That's when the public shots truly began. I don't like Kendrick Lamar's music. He raps good, but I didn't need to hear him on the Carti album. I hate it, Not Like Us. Kendrick was never king. He then proceeded to list 12 other MCs who he felt deserved that title. So now it looks like we're getting to what Charlemagne was talking about. He even commented on an old Louis Vuitton fashion show photo of Kendrick saying, "I hated this so much." Now, is this like his true feelings towards Kendrick? Possibly. Then in no time whatsoever, in a now infamous March 30th interview, Ye spiraled deeper, claiming Drake was a million times better, saying Mr. Morale copied Life of Pablo and suggested Kendrick didn't even have enough hits to do the Super Bowl. He also co-signed the lawsuit of UMG orchestrating the beef, and at one point straight up admitted he was jealous of Kendrick while also saying he was the closest thing to God.
This pisses me off. Like, I had to remove the footage from the interview because some dude flagged me for copyright who doesn't own the footage. Like, it's...
And after that interview, the disrespectful tweets didn't stop. Kendrick got 24 Grammys. They're trying to erase what I did with dudes who won't be remembered. Kendrick can't rap. He doesn't have a single bar that I wish I wrote. Kendrick and Tyler are the two most overrated artists. It's love and hate for Drake, but man, this is not real. Luther is not dethroning Nokia. This some Taylor Swift Beyonce shit.
Now, because he's on Twitter a lot, is he just doing this to antagonize and piss off Kendrick's fans? Like, I don't know.
With that said, just a few hours later, he slightly walked back his tweets, saying that it was all love for Kendrick and his team, but still passively aggressively claiming that Kendrick ghosted him for a verse on Donda.
Like I said, this is my own theory, but I highly doubt Kendrick wants to work with this guy. I don't think he does.
Ye then linked up with Drake's friend Top 5 and kept the disrespect going, even saying if Kendrick is your favorite rapper, you don't know real hip-hop. He also revealed that Kendrick was requested to be on both Donda and Donda 2, but those collaborations never materialized.
And this disrespect is continuing. Like, as I record this, it's May 12th. He just put something else out.
I know that Kendrick did not like Taylor Swift dancing to that A minor line. How is that culture?
With all that said, what happens next?
Well, first and foremost, I'll put my entire YouTube channel on this. Kendrick will be responding. Just like everything else, you won't hear about it in an interview, in a magazine, through a friend. You will be hearing about this in his music. Many years ago, we saw J. Cole take some fairly light-hearted shots to address Kanye's behavior, but we aren't talking about J. Cole. We're talking about Kendrick, and I will be shocked if he remained quiet.
Never let no one put smut up on your name.
When the time comes, I believe Kendrick will not just address Ye's disrespect towards him, but his behavior in general. This is a very easy slam dunk for him if he wants to take it, so we'll see what happens.
Now, the main question for a lot of people is, why is Kanye doing this?
I think it comes down to a combination of factors. One, Big Sean and Jay, they are direct descendants of his musical lineage. And to be fair, when it comes to those artists, his influence is undeniable, but this dynamic simply doesn't apply to Kendrick. No matter how you frame it, Kendrick is not a prodigy of Kanye West. He didn't start his career sounding like Ye, he didn't progress in the game sounding like Ye, and he doesn't echo Kanye's sound today. Kanye was once praised for his message and political fearlessness, but years of controversy and self-inflicted chaos have diminished his message. Outside of the Drake and Kendrick comparisons, which never made any sense, the Kanye versus Kendrick narrative has grown. In fact, they are compared more than any other two artists, again, not because of their similarities, but because of their differences. That conversation really picked up after To Pimp a Butterfly. Suddenly, people were saying Kendrick was doing what Kanye used to do, but better. People started saying Kendrick was who Kanye could have been. While Kendrick embraced minimalistic rollouts, Ye leaned into being as loud as possible and creating a spectacle out of himself. Many of Kanye's album rollouts were engulfed in controversy, often by design. Over time, it felt like Ye fully committed to the idea that all publicity is good publicity And for a while, that strategy worked, but Kendrick proved that you don't need to do any of that to move culture. He showed that you can let the music speak and still be heard. All Right became a global protest chant without a single TMZ headline attached to it. Years ago, Kendrick said something that really stuck. He talked about how being a reality star, chasing celebrity drama, or involving yourself in controversy only pulls focus away from the art. He didn't want any attention that distracted from his music, and the craziest part is he held on to that principle. His media image is nearly flawless. Outside of Drake's unsubstantiated claims during their beef, Kendrick's reputation is untouched. He's never missed a release date. Every album sounds nothing like the last. And every time he gets praised, not just for the music, but for his intention. So on one hand, you have Kanye, a legacy built on revolutionary music, but also riddled with public meltdowns and chaos. And on the other, you have Kendrick, a legacy built entirely on the strength of his music. At the end of the day, I think Kanye envies everything I just mentioned. Kendrick's blueprint is completely different. He moves in a way that is the opposite of Ye, and yet he's arguably had a deeper impact socially and politically. I think what Kanye envies the most is the respect that Kendrick holds in the culture and the fact that he earned it without ever needing to self-destruct. At the beginning of Drake and Kendrick's beef, Ye said a lot of good things about Kendrick, and I believe he thought this might get him in his good graces. However, it appears at a certain point, Ye's antics became too much for Kendrick, and I believe he cut him off a long time ago. Many years ago, their political and social belief systems were very similar, but now this is simply not the case.
You know, when it comes to Kanye, like I really try to put myself in his shoes as someone who has bipolar disorder, because I ask myself, like, what if I was a billionaire, right? Like, what if I was a billionaire and I also made all these amazing things in my life from being unmedicated? Like, all the most amazing work that he's done was done unmedicated. Like, he was probably hypomanic or manic when he made a lot of this stuff. So when he says that he doesn't want to take the meds because it's taking his creativity away, that's a fact. That the meds 100% do that. You feel like you're losing a part of who you are, right? So for, like, I try to put myself in his shoes as, you know, he's Kanye West. He's Kanye. He's known as this creative monster, this creative genius. But when he takes the meds, he says he's losing his creativity. So if he's losing his creativity, he's losing his identity. He's losing who he is. It's like Vincent van Gogh, the painter. Like, he's one of the most famous bipolar people ever to exist, right? He was a painter who could see these vivid, amazing colors while being in a manic state. Now, had Vincent van Gogh been medicated, we probably wouldn't have any of that art. Had Kanye been medicated from the beginning, we probably wouldn't have any of those albums.
Hell no.
Or they wouldn't be as good as what they are. So it's like, it's a huge balancing act for him, but he needs to make the decision.
This one was good.
Am I happy with what I've
That's
accomplished
loud.
in my life up to this point? Look at all the amazing things I've done. Am I willing to let go of this creative monster identity to really prioritize my own mental health and my family and sit back and be happy with what I've done? Because 99.9% of people with bipolar disorder need medication. Like, there's actually no research or evidence anywhere to support that someone could really live a normal life without it. It's just kind of comes with the territory, right?
Shit, that's it right there. Shit. That's it, man. That one was good, but it wasn't as good as they normally be, bro. Cause that nigga be cooking on that bitch. She be cooking on them hoes. Like, it take a lot of time, a lot of going back to watching tweets and looking at people's business to, you know, to even get that. Like, you know, shit, that shit is hard to me. I fuck with it. When I seen academics and all them shout them out, I knew this was it. So yeah, this is right here. see some. See what behind this jam to go out to, man. Shit crazy, fool. They normally break that shit down so good. He tough with it, man. He definitely tough with it. This is a jam to go out to, man. Shit, we can go out to shit. I'm gone, man. Definitely out of here, man. Salute to all y'all. Make sure y'all double tap the screen at the door, man. Go watch me a movie.
Ay, write songs for my dogs, for my squad, for my heart. How we won, how we lost.
He definitely would have watched that. He would have told you. That was the white. That's what the white girl was saying. We all know that nigga. That nigga would have never ever been able to do that.
Still we preach.
Never.
For the stars. Oh my God. Oh my God. So high up. I'm so far. Deja vu. I've been here before. Say come back down to earth. It's resist the urge. Still no brakes. On this court. Live or die. Either or. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Leave it all. On the floor. On the floor. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Leave it all. On the floor. On the floor. Leave it all. On the floor.
West side of Slauson, grind and make $1 million. We them hungry niggas in between the buildings. Risking everything we got to feed our children. My city built off of love, but we killed it. Hard times posted with pebbles and Buddha with it. I was told the money was there. It's up to you to get it. Jabos with the Eddie Bauer, no true religion. Ralph Lauren ski jacket with the Ruger in it. Quarterback in the block with the Mike Vick game. I wasn't always successful, but still I made plays. Under pressure, I run with the rock and get away. The main focus was living to see another day. Hall of Famer in the league, but I never played. I left my granny house young when I should have stayed. Motivated by the money I was getting paid. Go get her from the start, nah, never change.
On this court, live or die. Either or.
I never
go for broke. Hustle hard. Leave it all. On the floor. on the floor. Go for broke.
Big house, status Bill Hubble. I bought Lennox Mall for my brothers. Oh, yard bag, tote the cutter. I got it out the field, fuck Russell. Going as Lori about the paddock and going as Jordan as dead. For leak water, trying to drown a bitch. Just a habit, tricking on a bitch. Shit, I'm thinking I'm clipping a pimp. Shit, I'm cooking up dope like a dump. Shit, like her first gon' sit nigga trim. Shit, I'm floating, I'm out in the blimp. Shit, it look like I'm swimming in glass. Shit, I turn on my bitch cause she bad. Shit, I'm making my ex nigga mad. Shit, they go for that dummy for man. Real nigga alert, I'm carrying a bag. Piping a bitch and they nail like I can. Turn up the shooters with switch go bad. They was some scammers, but no was a pain. Trapping no rapping, my dog ain't fall off. No capping, no bound.